Hey everyone, it is Dani and welcome to this update video, this brief evening update on what is happening across both the Atlantic and the Pacific. So there are two disturbances over in the Eastern Pacific Basin, one of which was recently highlighted on the latest update Outlook mapping. So we're going to be talking about those and also taking a look at what is going on across the Atlantic. And so before I go into details, please do subscribe if you haven't yet done so and tap the bell so that you never miss an important update. Okay, and so we can definitely see here that as we look at the Atlantic Basin, there is some activity across some areas. It's looking pretty busy. Zoom in a bit closer here, we can see that for parts of Northern South America, there is some shower and thunderstorm activity developing. Similar story along the coast going further inland to portions of Central America. Lots of activity down in Panama. Those showers and thunderstorms there that are persistent are likely to even result in flooding across some sections of the territories, of course, that extends into parts of Costa Rica, go into Nicaragua, Honduras. We even see a bit of activity developing in parts of southern Belize, parts of Guatemala, as well as other sections of Honduras. Look into most of the Caribbean, though. Beautiful sunshine, not seen in major rainfall activity taking place right now. For the eastern islands, though, we have some activity coming out of the tropical Atlantic, and that might induce an isolated shower or so, not for a very long time. Across the Bahamas, we see mainly those overcast conditions with some activity developing in the northwestern part of the island chain and also for parts of southern Florida. So things are a bit windy as well for some areas such as Jamaica. And for the Atlantic, as of the 2 p.m. update, there is no new system to look out for the next 7 days, although that can change at any time. But we're hopping over into the Pacific, and so here we can see that we definitely have quite a bit going on. So that is where we have one of the disturbances, and we have another highlighted area. So let's go on to what the NHC has to show here. So there you have the map with both of these disturbances. So let's look at them individually. Now this one here is the most recently identified disturbance, and so we can see that it is given a low 20% chance of development through the next 7 days. And so as we head throughout the rest of this week, it is likely going to be approaching cooler waters, and there is also going to be a lot more of that unfavorable wind shear, so it will not likely strengthen after that time. So it has some limited time out there. Nonetheless, we could still see something become of it. As for that second area, notice that we're not seeing an X, which means that low pressure area has not yet developed, so it is expected to do so in the coming days. And so development chances are pretty low for both of these, but if conditions are going to be conducive enough to allow for development and we're seeing improvement, then the chance is going to gradually increase. But of course, unfavorable conditions are down the road for this system, because as it is going to be accelerating to the west-northwest and eventually to the northwest, it is going to eventually encounter more hostility in terms of those stronger upper level winds as well as those cooler ocean temperatures. So let's take a look at the temperatures over in the Eastern Pacific, where we're going to be having these systems moving. And first we're looking at the temperature anomaly map, of course. So where we have these oranges going to these reds, these are above average water. So we see that across some sections well off the coast of the Central American territories, lots of warm water there. But as we head more to further off the coast of Mexico, going into the Pacific, it's pretty cool, cooler than normal temperatures within the area. And that is where that first disturbance, that's where both of these will eventually be heading into. And go into the actual temperature map here. Remember, tropical cyclones need around 26 degrees Celsius at the minimum to allow for that continuous activity to result in intensification or even just to maintain intensity. Of course, there are other factors, but sea surface temperatures is an important part of it. So we start to see those 25, 24 degrees Celsius isotherms, and that's not going to be very conducive as we have these systems start making their way into that area. Coupled with that increase in wind shear, then we're going to see these dissipate. And even as we look at the model runs, they're not expecting too much from these. So we're looking at the GFS first, and here we can see that, of course, there's a forecast time, and by the end of this week, that first system may be trying to get itself together. That second one, of course, making its way from Central America. As it accelerates westward, it eventually weakens and dissipates out there. And then the model is even showing a third system coming from that activity that is expected in the Caribbean, that increase in activity. I'm pretty doubtful about a storm in the Caribbean at this point, of course, because of those unfavorable conditions that won't really be allowing for anything much. But nonetheless, there might be a rainfall increase, and that can be very impactful on the Central American territories. Of course, I'll go into details in tomorrow's update. But of course, as we now go on to the Euro model, let's see what it is expecting here. And so we're going out to the next 10 days here. And so we can see that the model is definitely showing all of that activity, not really seeing something very organized. When we start to see those black lines called isobars in a circular manner, and of course that value that we see is continually decreasing, coupled with more of those circular lines, that is when we have a stronger system. But we're not really seeing that. We're just seeing all these colors. Of course, they represent the precipitation rate. So Euro is definitely going to be showing that this will be struggling and anything else to come after it. So we might see maybe a brief storm or depression, but either way, thankfully, this is not going to be a threat to land. Majority of systems in the Eastern Pacific that develop are not threats, but it's still good to know what is going on out there. And that is exactly what I wanted to share with you guys in this updates video. So of course, once necessary, I'll be giving you guys some more details about these systems. And of course, that's pretty much it for right now. And so I hope that you found this video to be quite informative. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll try to respond as best and as soon as I can. And remember to always be weatherwise.